Hello and welcome to How Do You Money, the podcast that dives deep into the minds and wallets of everyday people. This week, it's Ed's story.
The band was called I Am Giant. We did do all right, but that was always caveated with the fact that we'd spent years beforehand trying to make it work.
Then something happened, money started coming in. What was that thing?
Through just the popularity of the band growing in New Zealand and Australia, and that helped us then fill venues. And then that helped us obviously earn some money out of it.
That's the success story that specifically bands and musicians dream of, right?
When you do get that, you kind of go, God, was that actually worth it?
What was that shift like of going, okay, we're not doing world tours anymore. What do I do now?
At that point that I was like, I'm leaving the band, I didn't have any idea about what I was going to do. And then just said to the missus, I was like, I bought a 360 camera. And she was like, what?
Best investment you've made.
That camera. And then I just stared at the box for about 3 months. Yeah. And then something just clicked. And I was like, you need to make this work now.
Okay, Ed, this is very much a British podcast.
Yes.
So let's start off with a moan. What's pissing you off about money in this very moment? Putting food on the table. Yeah, I was going to say.
It's probably one of the most things, and I suppose you get that, you've probably had that answer quite a lot on the pod, but I think, putting food on the table is probably one of the most concerning matters financially for us at the moment. Not that we struggle to do that, but it's just so bloody expensive, isn't it?
It's madness.
It's just so expensive.
It's madness.
And you think of where we were 10 years ago and the cost of how much that the food prices have gone up. It's eye-watering.
Yeah, absolutely.
And wages haven't obviously increased in reflective to that, though.
Painfully.
No,
Painfully.
Unfortunately.
Ed, how would you describe your relationship with money in one word?
I'd say peaceful.
Peaceful?
Now.
Right, a very positive word. Normally you get a negative one. How do you sort of describe your reason for that?
So I think we've struggled at times, mainly through potentially poor financial decisions. We've struggled at times, and it's been very much feast or famine by nature of what I do. It's been sort of feast or famine, but we struggled at times, but we are now at a point where we're both okay. And we're at peace with, we've sorted ourselves out.
And you said dodgy financial decisions there. I don't think you used the word dodgy, but I'm just throwing that in there. Mm-hmm. What are those financial decisions that have set you back in the past?
So I've never really had a proper job. Right. And so I probably took a bit of time to adjust to living life as a self-employed musician / creative and things. So the first couple of years of there was a bit of an adjustment there, because you just kind of spend what you earn and then you get your tax bill at the end of the year and you're like, that took a bit of adjustment. There was some, that probably took a bit of time to adjust to that. And just kind of still paying off university, I suppose. Even at 44, as a unit, me and the missus are probably still paying off university, more her side of university.
And this is kind of the battle with freelance life. Like you've already mentioned, feast and famine, and like the dreaded tax bill and that kind of thing. Yeah, something very new to me.
It is. We've spoken about this. We've spoken about out of the podcast, haven't we? Yeah.
But how long have you been living that life? Because, like you said, you've come to a point of peace, and I'm thinking, oh, do I need to change like my mindset to get to that point?
Well, I mean, from what I've spoken about, from the conversations we've had before, you will be absolutely fine. But I just think you get to a point with your freelance work where you build up enough regular clients. I mean, that's coming from somebody that's just lost a regular client in the business. So it does happen, but you build up enough sort of contacts within the industry that you get those regular clients coming in all the time, and those become like almost like your bread and butter. So for me, it never started out to be that way, but for me, our relationship with Saints. That is a certain part of my sort of bread and butter earnings now. But so that will become, I'll be very, very loyal to those clients, and I'll try and fit other clients in and around those.
Right. Okay.
So you'll get to the point with your freelance work, and you're already doing that. You're already establishing yourself in that way, where you'll have it might not be like the big money, but it'll be the regular money.
It's regular. Okay.
And those give you that assurance that, do you know what? I can do this. I can keep going, and and that will give you that, because you got that financial sort of reassurance that you've got this always coming in every month. It then gives you the sort of, you don't think about the finances quite so much, and you're able to then sort of focus on other parts, establishing new connections.
Well, let's get into work then. If you look back over your 20 plus years of career, doing various things, what did you choose in the first instance? The money or the passion?
I think I've always just gone with, I think I've always just been about passion rather than money.
Where do you think that comes from? Have you sort of been in privileged enough position to do that, or has it been just your own personal sort of personality, I guess?
I mean, I wasn't necessarily afforded the financial luxury to do that. I mean, my parents have always been very supportive. And I think that's the main thing. My parents have always been very supportive of me in my sort of musical career. And without their support, I don't think I'd be, be able to have said that that's what I've done. But necessarily financially, yes, they've very much sort of helped me out when I've been in been in trouble. But it wasn't like they were like, well, if you're going to be a musician, a full-time musician, we're going to give you an allowance or a wage.
Yeah.
No, they weren't like that. They were like, if you want to do it, you've got to do it. I think I just always found a way. I was always just sort of tenacious, and I was always like, well, if I wanted my passion to be my living, then I have to take doing something else as a side hustle, or, working in a pub or whatever it was, to facilitate my being able to do my passion full time.
Right.
So I would always make time to earn the money. So I'd definitely chosen the passion out of the money. And eventually the money at stages did come.
Right.
So
okay.
you kind of got that reward from taking that, having to do those other jobs that maybe you weren't particularly that happy about doing.
And it sounds like you had quite a good kind of money advice, money upbringing from your parents. If they said, look, okay, yes, we do want you to do what you want to do, but you've got to make it work. You've got to do the hours in the pub, for example. Yeah,
I mean, we weren't, like I said, mum and dad weren't by any stretch of the means wealthy. But on the same token, we weren't poor.
Yeah.
Mum and dad were very, very hardworking people. And that's, I think, what I inherited from mum and dad. I look back on it now, having made some more sensible financial choices as I've, got a bit older. And those are the things, like when I've sort of been talking about those decisions with my dad, you can see my mum and dad going, finally, kind of thing, so not that I remember them saying those, advising me on those things, but I think they've always have done.
Yeah.
And I've just been, whatever, like, what do you know, kind of thing. But it turns out they know quite a lot.
Yeah, fair enough. And I want to talk about when the money came in.
Yeah.
When you did the hours in the pub alongside your passion of being a musician.
Yeah.
Then something happened.
Mm-hmm.
Money started coming in.
Yeah.
What was that thing?
So that was through the popularity of the band growing in New Zealand and Australia. And
what was the band?
The band was called I Am Giant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, most people probably would never have heard of it in the UK, but we have some notoriety over in the other side of the world, I suppose. Nice. But yeah, so that was radio play.
Okay.
And that helped us then fill venues, and then that helped us obviously earn some money out of it. And coupled with the radio play and then the radio play royalties, we didn't earn any money out of Spotify at that point. We were talking nearly 20 years ago now, so we didn't really earn. It was at that point where Spotify, streaming, record, CD sales, it was, that transitional period that nobody really knew what was going on with either. CD sales were in decline, Spotify and streaming services were starting to pick up. Nobody really knew what was properly sort of going on. So we didn't really earn any money out of Spotify or the other streaming services. I mean, not many musicians do earn a great deal of money out of that, but that's a whole new different conversation that we can have. But yeah, so there was a period where we did okay out of it, and I was, we did do all right. But that was always caveated with the fact that we'd spent years beforehand trying to make it work.
Yeah, plugging away.
Yeah, earning nothing. Literally living on beans.
Yeah.
So, you kind of get that. But when you do get that, you kind of go, God, was that actually worth it?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting, because that's the success story that specifically bands and musicians dream of, right? You plug away, you're just doing like crappy gigs at the back, in small bars, whatever.
Yeah.
Eventually something sort of hits.
Yeah.
Then suddenly you are on the radio selling CDs,
yeah,
doing tours and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you say, was it even worth it?
Well, you think it is worth it. When I look back on it now, I think, wow, that was an amazing time. I got to sort of tour the world and play, venues and do some amazing shows. And so it is worth it. I'm very, very humble and feel very, very privileged to have been able to have done that. But it didn't come without its sacrifices.
Yeah.
Like all success that you see across the board, most of that success comes with some kind of sacrifice. And that sacrifice was, like living arrangements. It's quite often we didn't really know where we were going to be sleeping that night. We weren't really sure where we were,
Is this on the world tours?
Yeah, those kind of things. I mean, a lot of it was, very well organised. So that was fine. But yeah, there was sometimes in the early days where we were just like, oh God, couple of gigs, we were like, does anybody have a sofa we can sleep on tonight?
Yeah.
Quite often bands were like, yeah, mate, you can sleep on my sofa. So that was fine. But yeah, you do it. In hindsight, it's worth it. When you're at that point and you get that first, I remember getting that first lot of radio play royalties, and I was like,
did it just
God.
drop in the bank?
Yeah. It just like ping, and you're like, oh, wow, that's awesome. But then you're like, hang on, I've been doing this for like 6.5, 7 years now. And it's like, oh.
is that 6 years worth of?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, oh, wow. But then it keeps coming in every 3 months, because that's when PRS pays out. And so it keeps coming in and you're like, oh, okay, this is all right. This is all right. This is starting to be worth it and stuff. So yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then when the band's notoriety or fandom or success sort of fizzled out a bit, what was that shift like of going, okay, we're not doing world tours anymore.
Yeah.
What do I do now?
So
Back to the pub?
Yeah. Well, that's what it is. That's what it was. That's basically where I was sort of faced with. It kind of coupled with just, we'd done the release of the second album. We toured the second album. I'd fallen in love, and obviously met the woman that I'm with now. So all of that sort of coupled together or pieced together kind of made me sort of think, maybe my time's done doing this.
What age were you at this point?
Oh God, it must have been 35.
Okay, that's a bit of a sort of life clarity age, though, isn't it?
Yeah. I was 35. Me and my Amy had been together for a few years at that point, and we hadn't really discussed having a family or anything, but we were just at the point where I was like, I think it's time. Yeah. I just sensed that I thought it was time to make that change. At that point that I was like, I'm leaving the band, I didn't have any idea about what I was going to do.
You just went for it.
I just went for it. not even 6 months, maybe a year previous to that, I'd been in LA, and we'd been walking down one of the many busy streets in LA, and I walked past a estate agency, and in that estate agency, I saw these on the screens. I saw these 360 tours, and I stood there watching them in my tiredness haze. I was like, wow, they're amazing. So I went into the estate agency, just inquisitively, and said, what's this thing you've got in the window? And they were like, oh my God. And then sort of told me about this new thing that was going to take over the world. Fast forward a year or so later, when I was like, I'm going to leave the band, I was fitting kitchens with my good friend Dan, who helped me out very much. So when I came back off tour and stuff, and I needed a bit of money here and there, so I'd go and help him out fit kitchens. So I was fitting kitchens at that point, and I was like, oh, I can't fit kitchens. I mean, that sort of avenue had sort of slowed down anyway.
Physically unable to fit kitchens?
No, not physically unable to fit kitchens. Just like, it just didn't appeal to me. It's going back to that passion or money kind of thing. If I'd have just stayed in kitchens, in all honesty, I'd probably be financially better off now, because it's so in demand. But yeah, I was like, I don't fancy doing that. And I thought, I just thought, oh yeah, that thing that I saw a year ago, and I just looked it up. And I just bought one of these cameras. Didn't have any idea about how I was going to make it work.
Never done freelance at this point.
No,
outside of just being
just being in the band, and I mean obviously doing covers work as well. So there was I was earning money freelance in some way, but in terms of actually doing freelancing, I was like
having a business.
I was like, no, I've never done it. Didn't even think about a business plan. I just bought this camera, and then just said to the missus, I was like, I bought a 360 camera. And she was like, what? It's like, what did you spend on that? I was like, don't worry about it.
Do you know what I was going to say? I was going to say, there needs to be a point where we have to say, look, let's shout out to the partners who allow us to chase these dreams, John, and back us with these things. But you just went ahead anyway.
But I mean, and there does need to be a shout out to them, because like we've spoken about before, like your partner's very sort of facilitated you and pushed you to do that.
Yeah.
And my partner's always been very sort of like, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
You'll get it done. You'll make it work. But yeah, I didn't. I did. It came, it arrived, and I was like, right.
How do I work this thing?
And then I just stared at the box for about 3 months.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, in fear. Because I was like, oh no. Oh, God. What am I going to do? And then something just clicked, and I was like, you need to make this work now. And that was it. And then I started pushing it out and going out and literally visiting everywhere I could possibly think of that would potentially use that stuff. And slowly but surely it started working.
So sort of going back through sort of your life, your career, it sounds like actually a lot of good decisions have been made in this process. Like ultimately that camera was expensive, but you made a living out of it.
Yeah.
What's the sort of one money mistake that you still think about today?
The money mistake I probably still think about today, and for some reason it's just haunted me.
Okay, yeah.
My entire life is when I was running a nightclub in Southampton. When we must
casually, by the way.
Yeah, casually. We're probably talking about 25 years ago, maybe even longer than that. I bought a iMac on eBay.
Yeah,
and just fell for it. It was a complete con.
Was it just
I spent $2,500, which was a lot of money back then, on a iMac, and it just never came.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah, horror. And it's always haunted me ever since. And because of that, I think I've always been like, if you can't afford it, if you don't have the money there, then don't pay for it.
And that's the situation. You didn't even have the money at that point.
No,
have the
that's the thing. I put it on, I think I got a credit card or something.
Yeah.
I just put it on the credit card, and then it just never came. Okay. And I was then haunted for years about, and it's still, some days I still wait, I used to think, you idiot, why did you make that decision? Yeah, other than that.
What about the opposite then? Best investment you've made?
That camera.
The camera.
Yeah, that camera. In hindsight, you know, up until this point, everybody's probably going to be thinking, what is this dude doing? Why is he doing that? He doesn't even have to work.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I just made it work.
Yeah.
And because of that, I wouldn't have got the relationships that I built. I certainly wouldn't be working for people like Southampton. I wouldn't have worked for Ancaster. It opened the door to all the avenues that I have really healthy relationships with now, like in terms of my like self-employed work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was definitely that camera.
Well, let's dive into a tiny bit of money psychology then. Mm-hmm. Let's say tomorrow, a client calls you up and says, Ed, that 360 video you did the other week, so good.
Yeah.
I just want to give you £1,000 to say thanks.
Yeah.
What are you spending that money on? Bang. First thing you think of. Or what are you doing with that money?
It depends if I tell the missus or not.
Let's do one for each.
If I tell the missus, we're probably putting it towards some kind of like thing that's going to benefit the children.
Yeah.
Which that's the main goal,
ultimately.
If I don't tell the missus, I'm probably reinvesting that I'm either putting it in savings, or I'm reinvesting that into gear.
Okay.
Because you have to be seen to be technologically on par with everybody else.
Ahead of the game.
Yeah, exactly. It's pointless turning up unless you've been booked to turn up with a film camera, an actual old school film camera. It's pointless turning up to do a job on, like, you know, you have to be technologically on par. So I'm probably reinvesting it into gear, but more likely we're probably putting it towards something to do with the children. Okay. Because there's no way I'm not gonna turn around to the missus and just, do you have a good day, love? Yeah, great, you know, all right. Someone tip me £1,000. You know, that's what I'm going to be saying, aren't I?
Yeah.
So
normally when I ask that question, I can sort of pin down whether you've got like a spender or a saver mentality.
Yeah.
I can't work out which one it is there. Like, because you're either saving it or it's going into savings for kids or it's going into the business. So, you know, what would you say you've got?
I think I'm just measured.
Yeah.
You know, if I feel like I can have if I feel like that investment will pay off for me, then I'll spend it.
Yeah.
If I don't, then I'll just leave it.
So you don't necessarily, do you see it as like spare money, free money?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of windfall I would definitely see as like, oh, well, I didn't have this before, so let's do something with it. The short answer is, depending on where I am in my life on that day, we'll make a decision based on that.
Right. Okay, cool.
Know? So if there's nothing that needs to be invested in, then I'll just put it in. We'll just put it into the savings.
Tuck it away.
Yeah, just tuck it away. But if there's something that you think, oh, well, we could use that for that, then I won't be afraid of spending it. I also won't be afraid of saving it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's very, very measured. Well done. If you could have one conversation with someone that would improve your life the most about money, what would that conversation be and who would it be with?
The most obvious answer is one of the big, like the big people in business, like a Bezos or a Tesla, or, you know, one of those. Like,
about what though? What's the conversation about? Sat down with Bezos.
Like, I suppose what I'd want to know is like, is the story actually true? You know, were you sat in a room like we are now on your own at the start?
Yeah.
Like, were you? And how did you get away, like, financially? Like, how much did you have to take out as a loan? Did your parents fund you?
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to know the real truth about it.
Well, and that benefits you in that you could sort of steal the advice from him. Okay,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
And just to finish off, this is not an advice podcast, as you know, but I do like to ask everyone for one tiny bit of like golden money advice.
Yeah.
The one thing that you would say to anyone that would help them with money, what would it be?
I think it's my life motto.
Go on.
And it's just, don't be a dick.
Okay, yeah.
Just
What does that mean in terms of money, though?
in terms of finances, like, if you've not got 20 grand in the bank and you want to buy a 20 grand car, then don't be a dick. Don't go and loan it. Don't go and take out a loan to, like, unless it's absolutely necessary, unless you are, you know, you're a taxi driver and your car's blown up and you don't have the 20 grand, but you need it to survive. That's fine. But like, just don't overspend your income. I suppose that would be my main piece of advice.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting at the start, obviously your word for your money relationship was peaceful now.
Yeah.
And I could you kind of explained why, really, quite simply. You know, you've had the highs and lows.
Yeah.
But I think the crucial point is you've built up this sort of roster of clients.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how you've made peace with it, is that I know that I've done the work to keep the money coming in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that. You have to do that. There's no point in being a freelancer and then just going like, oh, where's the work? And just expecting it to come in. At some point, you have to put in the hard work. Just like you do if you want to succeed when you're not a freelancer and you're working in, you're being employed by somebody. You still have to, if you want to succeed within that company, providing you pick the right company to work for, if you want to succeed within that company, then you have to work bloody hard. It's just the way life is, unfortunately. There are some obvious, exceptions to that rule. But in general, I think you just have to work really hard to build those relationships with people. And just be a nice guy, be a nice person,
And don't be.
Then don't be a dick.
That's great. Ed, thanks so much for being on the podcast, mate.
Thanks, John. Cheers.
If you enjoyed this podcast or anything from Ed's story resonated with you, make sure to hit like and subscribe. See you next time.